What is HYBE really hiding? Why did Jungkook's tears fall right in the middle of the live broadcast when Taehyung's name was called? Is this just a coincidence? Or is the truth too dark to be revealed? HYBE panicked. Army trembled. And now, one by one, clues began to emerge. But are you ready to find out a secret that even those closest to Taehyung want to bury? Who can forget that night? When the cameras are still on, and the whole world is watching a moment that will never be repeated. Jungkook, the golden magne who always smiles even when the world collapses, suddenly fell silent. It's not an ordinary cry. It was a cry that tore apart the space of trust, tore apart the mystery that had been silenced, and ignited a spark of emotion that even HYBE herself was not ready to handle. But what exactly happened that night? The biggest and most painful question that haunts millions of soldiers to this very second is, what exactly has Taehyung done until Jungkook can't hold back his tears in front of the camera? And why, in a matter of minutes, did all the footage of the live broadcast disappear from the official media? Yeah, it's gone. As if it never happened. As if Jungkook's tears were just part of the acting. But anyone who knows the look in Jungkook's eyes will know, it's not a scenario. It was not part of the comeback concept. It was an emotion too honest to be made up and too heavy to bear. Right after that moment, HYBE issued an official statement that only added to the public's suspicion. Everything that happens in the live broadcast is part of the improvisation of the members and does not reflect the personal or internal situation of the group. But the awkward thing is, why is it that just 5 minutes after Jungkook's tears fell, all the staff looked agitated? Why did the mic go off? Why did the camera change direction and Taehyung's face disappeared from the screen? Some of the soldiers who watched the rebroadcast quickly claimed to have seen a strange expression on Taehyung's face. His face paled. His eyes seemed to indicate that he knew, that he's conscious, that something he cared so much about had leaked. But leaked by whom? Is it possible? Taehyung's dark secret was revealed right then and there, by accident. Rumors are growing in the online community that Jungkook received a private message just before the broadcast from someone who is not a staff member, not a member, and not even from the management. Someone from their past. Someone who knows more than they should. Someone who brings evidence. And the message, say Taehyung's name, and Owen was able to verify the content of the message directly, because as always, HYBE acted quickly. Jungkook requested offline. Staff were told to stop discussing the incident. Even some fan sites who are known to record live moments suddenly deactivate their accounts. Why? What is so terrible? To the point of having to be removed so quickly from the digital footprint, the question is no longer whether something is hidden, but how deeply the secret is buried, and why now suddenly the surface begins to crack. Some army refer to this incident as the midnight truth collapse, the moment in which the mask of sobriety that HYBE had built up over the years slowly began to fall off. And from that crack, a spark of truth began to emerge that had been shrouded in darkness. Rumors went wild when a former BTS visual staff member posted a cryptic statement on his personal account. If you knew what really happened between JK and V, you'd never hear their songs the same way again. The post was removed in a matter of hours, but enough to trigger a wave of theories that cannot be damned. Then, there's the one moment that makes everything feel even more real and painful. Jimin. Yes, Jimin. Someone who is known to be closest to Taehyung and Jungkook. Someone who has always been in their midst, being a counterweight, being a keeper of secrets, being a person who knows too much. In a recent interview that did not air officially, Jimin had said a sentence that made the production team speechless. Sometimes things that we cover up because of love actually become things that hurt when they are finally revealed. And by then, there will be nothing left but tears. Is it a hidden message? Was Jimin talking about that night? Was Jungkook's crying a reaction to something he had been hiding and had just realized the truth in front of millions of eyes? And why is HYBE so hastily covering everything up? Is it because if this secret is exposed, Taehyung's future will be ruined? Or is it because the truth could destroy the trust built over the past decade? Unofficial sources said that some of HYBE's internal members had held an emergency meeting the next day. They discussed damage control, restructuring the public narrative, and restoring Taehyung's image. Why Taehyung? Why isn't Jungkook the one to clear his name if he's just crying from personal pressure? Because perhaps the secret is indeed directly related to Taehyung. With his past. With a relationship that has been displayed so perfectly in front of the camera, but behind the scenes keep invisible cracks. What has Taehyung been hiding all this time? Is it about someone from his past coming back with evidence of emotional infidelity? Are there any hidden projects involving outsiders that other members are not aware of? Or could there be a secret deal between Taehyung and HYBE that Jungkook accidentally finds out about? Theories are growing. Some fans mentioned the name of a model who used to be associated with Taehyung. Others mentioned a demo song that HYBE kept and never released because it was too personal. But the most horrifying thing is the theory that Jungkook knew all along and chose to remain silent until that night, a night in which all the tension, lies, and disappointments exploded in the middle of the live broadcast and could only be expressed through one thing: tears, a cry that not only represents itself, but also the disappointment of millions of hearts who have believed that there are no secrets between them. HYBE is now under great pressure. They could have continued to hide everything, erase traces, and shut the staff's mouths. But the questions won't stop. The army is a force that cannot be fooled. They feel the change. They know when an emotion is an act, and when it is a scream of the heart. And right now, the whole world is waiting for one thing: explanation, because without explanation, the wound will remain open, and until then, this question will continue to haunt every corner of the fandom, every verse of the song, and every moment when Jungkook and Taehyung stand on the same stage. What really happened that night? Dan, are we ready to listen to the answer? An absurd moment, barely captured by anyone, except for one security camera that is now the center of attention of hardline fans. The leaked 22-second video shows the back door of a HYBE rehearsal studio. Jungkook is seen coming out with a rash step, wearing a dark jacket and a mask. A few seconds later, Taehyung appears from the opposite direction, but stops as soon as he sees Jungkook. The two just stood still, without a word, without movement, just staring. But long enough to imply how heavy a burden they are currently carrying. What does the gaze mean? Why don't they come closer to each other, don't talk, don't lend a hand as usual? Since when did silence become the language between two friends who used to be known as the most expressive in BTS? Even stranger, the video was never acknowledged by HYBE. When asked by fans who dug deeper through the official community forum, none of the admins responded. Even some of the threads that alluded to the wordless gaze were deleted in a matter of hours, as if there was something very should not be discussed. Why? Are they afraid of something bigger being revealed? Or is that what they conceal? Backstage, a source from BTS's stylist team mentioned that on the eve of the breakup, the atmosphere in the dressing room was very tense. Taehyung just sat while listening to music through earphones, and Jungkook went in and out countless times without saying a word. Even when the manager tried to break the ice, none of them responded. Though usually they are known to most actively liven up the room to what's wrong. This question continues to haunt many people, especially those who have been following Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship since their debut. The two are not just colleagues. They're like brothers, like two parts of one soul that cannot be separated. But now, even mentioning each other's names in a live broadcast feels like a taboo, and this tension is not only felt by fans. Some senior artists even started speculating. One of the South Korean actors known to be close to V, in a recent radio interview, accidentally mentioned, "Sometimes, the most painful thing is not when someone leaves, but when you are not allowed to talk about them." The speech instantly went viral. Is it about Jungkook? More surprisingly, an undated letter appeared in an online community claiming to be from a former HYBE staffer. The letter states that since the last comeback, emotional and narrative control has been a priority for the company. It was even mentioned that there was one closed-door meeting where Jungkook and Taehyung's names were discussed specifically, including the potential psychological effects of their relationship on the group's promotional balance. The letter also implied that there was a specific request from an outside party, either a sponsor or a party that owns shares, to maintain the stability of the story for commercial reasons. In other words, any form of honest expression that is too emotional between the two members must be suppressed. Terrible? Yeah. But does it make sense? As you look back at the old, one by one pieces of evidence began to emerge. And the most surprising was the appearance of a 21-second clip from a closed training session of BTS in the middle of last year, which somehow managed to leak into one of the international forums. In the video, Jungkook's voice sounds hoarse, as if holding back anger or maybe sadness. He said in a slow but sharp tone, "If they keep asking me to stay away from what's important to me, what's all this for?" Some fans believe the phrase is aimed at management, but who is meant as the important one remains an enigma. But the next second, the camera moves quickly, as if on purpose or out of panic, capturing Taehyung standing still, looking at Jungkook with an expression that can't be defined. A mixture of hurt and helplessness. Was it the moment when everything started to change? The question continues to grow. What really happened between the two of them until HYBE feels compelled to intervene? Are they too close? Too emotional? Too out of control by the public narrative that has been designed? And if they have ever had a dispute, why not be given the space to resolve it openly? One of the former BTS staff of the pre-military era even mentioned that since 2023, management began to limit Taehyung's visual duo moments because it was considered to cause too much fan war and make the group's narrative unstable. But is the real reason just that? Because if we pull further, this common thread has been visible since the comeback of Proof in 2022. At that time, fans began to notice that Jungkook and Taehyung's interaction in front of the camera began to decrease. In some behind-the-scenes content, their moments together are even cut for no apparent reason. The thing that used to be a force is slowly being muted. And now, after the draft, the distance is even more noticeable. Too real to ignore. Then came the moment that was supposed to be their reconnection. The day of the military discharge, Bigot announces that Jungkook and Taehyung are leaving at the same time. ARMY also imagine hugs, tears, or even laughter like when they used to welcome Jin. But nothing happened. The camera captures only formal moments. There is no special interaction between the two. Even when the other members greet and share a hug, Jungkook and Taehyung seem to distance. Not cold, but too quiet. Even more surprising was the unofficial statement of one of the music reporters present on the set. He mentions that before Jungkook left to meet his family, there was a quick conversation between him and Taehyung. But when the media tried to capture it, HYBE staff immediately blocked visual and audio access. Too soon. Too reactive. As if something had to be kept secret. Then came the speculation. What were they really talking about in that brief moment? Is that a goodbye? Or an apology? Many fans began to suspect that HYBE's intervention had gone too far, even to interfere with the personal dynamics of the members. Does HYBE only protect the image of the group? Or are they afraid of something bigger, something that can't be explained with just the word branding? Now, fans aren't just wondering. They began to sue. Hashtags such as #LetTaehyung and #WhereIsTheFootage began flooding social media. The editors of a large fanbase even began to collect evidence of allegedly omitted or manipulated videos. One viral TikTok account showed how Taehyung's original expression during rehearsal was apparently changed in the official version of the documentary to look more neutral. One of the most surprising was the audio analysis, which showed that during one practice session, Jungkook's whispering to Taehyung was faintly audible. The sentence, "I'll be back, wait for me in the same place." But the version uploaded on the official channel has eliminated that sound completely. Why should the sound be removed? Is it too honest? Too emotional? Or is it too dangerous for the public to hear? Up to this point, many are beginning to feel that this is no longer about fan service. This is the story of two people trapped in the system. Two people who have a bond, I don't know what it is, that they can't maintain in the midst of the pressures of the industry. And among all this, one sentence from Taehyung in an old live broadcast went viral again. "I want to talk, but sometimes I don't know if I can." That sentence now feels like a scream that has been ignored. A code intended not for fans, but perhaps for someone he can no longer reach. Jungkook, on the other hand, also briefly said in one of the live, "Not everything I can explain." Sometimes, I can only sing to convey what can't be said. And sure enough, the lyrics of his latest solo track hold clues that are too obvious to ignore. The song tells about waiting in the promised place, about fear of loss, and about those who have to pretend to be strong in front of the world. Now, the question is no longer just what happens behind the camera, but to what extent did HYBE play a role in shaping or destroying their relationship? And until when will we continue to receive filtered narratives? Is Jungkook and Taehyung's breakup a plan? Or is it the result of a wound that was never given room to heal?